Ros Ernest Reynolds. August 20, 1887 – June 23, 1970. Nicknamed Doc, was a right-handed American baseball pitcher. He played professional baseball for 5 years from 1912 to 1916, including 2 seasons in Major League Baseball for the Detroit Tigers in 1914 and 1915. Known for his ability to throw a spitball with control, he appeared in 30 games, 9 as a starter, and compiled a 5-4 win-loss record and a 2.62 earned run average. As a rookie in 1914, he compiled a 2.08 ERA and defeated Walter Johnson in a 2-1 decision on August 25, 1914. Reynolds also played in the minor leagues for a team in Minneapolis, Kansas, 1912, and for the Topeka Kaws, 1912–1913, the Louisville Colonels, 1915, and the Denver Bears. Arm troubles ended his career in 1916 at age 29. Early years. Reynolds was born in Barksdale, Texas, in 1887. He grew up and made his home in Wetumpka, Oklahoma. He was 6 feet, 2 inches tall, weighed 185 pounds, and threw and batted right-handed. Professional baseball, Minneapolis and Topeka. Reynolds began his professional baseball career in 1912 at age 25, playing for the Minneapolis, Kansas team in the Central Kansas League. He compiled a 17-11 record in 30 games for Minneapolis. In August 1912, Reynolds was purchased from Minneapolis by the Topeka Kaws of the Western League for $300 down and another $300 if Reynolds made good. Quote, in September 1912, the Cincinnati Reds drafted Reynolds, but they drafted him from Minneapolis rather than Topeka. On that basis, Topeka was able to nullify the draft-in proceedings before the National Commission, and Reynolds remained with Topeka for the 1913 season. On July 21, 1913, he pitched a no-hitter into the 8th inning and shut out Wichita by a 5-0 score. Detroit Tigers. On August 1, 1913, the Detroit Tigers purchased Reynolds from Topeka for $5,000, consisting of $4,000 in cash and 2 players. The sum was the highest price ever received by the Topeka club for the sale of a player. The agreement allowed Reynolds to remain with Topeka through the end of the 1913 season. At the time of the sale, Reynolds was described as a big fellow and has just as much stuff left in the 9th inning as he starts out with in the first. Quote, at the end of spring training in 1914, manager Huey Jennings had decided to send Reynolds to the minor leagues, but pitcher Gene Dubuck persuaded team owner Frank Naveen to keep Reynolds on the Tigers lineup. Dubuck opined that Reynolds had the best control of a spitball he had ever seen. Dubuck added, if you want a Walsh in the bud, keep this fellow. He has a fine spitball, good control, holds men on the sacks and has plenty of nerve. He's a comer or I don't know anything about pitching. Detroit sports writer E.A. Batchelor had this to say about Reynolds. He is well over 6 feet. Broad-shouldered and deep-chested and has one of those square jaws which denotes courage under fire. Quote, the Tigers followed Dubuck's advice and used Reynolds principally as a relief pitcher during the 1914 season. Reynolds appeared in 26 games for the Tigers in 1914, 7 as a starter, compiling a 5-3 record with a 2.08 earned run average. ERA. His ERA was 9th best in the American League. On August 25, 1914, Reynolds allowed only 5 hits and won a pitching duel with Walter Johnson, as the Tigers defeated the Washington Senators 2-1. Reynolds scored the winning run after Johnson misplayed his bunt, allowing it to roll through his legs. After advancing to second base, Ty Cobb got a base hit to right field, and Johnson deflected the throw to the plate, allowing Reynolds to score. In 1915, Reynolds appeared in only 4 games for the Tigers, 2 as a starter, all early in the season. His ERA soared to 6.35 as he gave up 8 earned runs, 17 hits and 5 bases on balls in 11 1/3 innings pitched. He appeared in his last major league game on May 1, 1915. According to one account, his old fault of wildness bothered Reynolds in early games for the Tigers, Louisville and Denver. On May 16, 1915, Reynolds was sold to the Louisville Colonels and appeared in 15 games for the Colonels during the 1915 season. On August 9, 1915, Reynolds was fined and suspended for the remainder of the season for failing to observe the club's training rules. He was reportedly not in condition to play good baseball. Quote, in March 1916, the Louisville club sold Reynolds to the Denver Bears of the Western League. His release was a surprise to Louisville fans given the progress Reynolds had made during spring practice. He had reportedly shown up in superb condition, and had been one of the hardest workers in the training camp. Reynolds appeared in 18 games for Denver and compiled a 4-7 record with a 3.03 ERA. On July 8, 1916, having suffered from a bad arm, Reynolds was released by the Denver club. Later years, Reynolds died in Ada, Oklahoma, in 1970, at age 82.